This morning's guest answers questions about garage sales and parking meters and everything in between. Who is he? You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Holiday Inn West on the Waterway. We're focused on the city of Myrtle Beach, and we're visiting with its public information officer, Mark Kruea. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
I'm glad to do it.
This is tremendous to get you in. That's right, on a Tuesday morning. I hope you had a great Memorial Day yesterday.
I did. It was a nice weekend. The weather cooperated, so that was good.
It did. That's right. I believe you said the folks with the city of Myrtle Beach were working yesterday.
Yes, Memorial Day is a regular work day for the city of Myrtle Beach. It's a tourism destination, so we have people who are in town. We're providing service. It just makes it easier for everybody to work. It's kind of an all-hands-on-deck sort of day. So we all work Memorial Day.
I got to admit, I wish I'd known that. I did not take my trash out to the street yesterday morning.
Yes, we will pick it up on that Monday.
I didn't take it out yesterday morning because of I assumed that everyone was going to be taken off. I hadn't even thought to think, when are they going to pick it up? But I didn't take it out. So that was very interesting. What about a lot going on in the city? And, of course, recently a heck of a lot not only being passed, but a lot happening with City Council.
It is busy, and City Council traditionally is busy. We actually passed a budget last week for the first time in May that I ever can recall. We normally take until late June to pass the budget. $133 million spending plan for next year. That includes operating expenses, debt reserves, and then capital improvement projects, those bricks and mortar sort of things that we do. But that's behind us now, which is just a very good thing. No tax increase in the budget, and that's another
fantastic.
Good thing.
Absolutely. Is that markedly larger than past years? Or?
It fluctuates from year to year depending upon how many capital improvement projects there are. It's in the 4 to 5% increase on the operating side, but the capital improvement projects does move up and down. So I think it is the largest budget that we've had.
$133 million.
Yes.
Of course, Mike Shelton having been with the city for quite a few years.
Yes.
I'm sure he has followed that meticulously year after year.
Mike is the budget director, and it's his baby until it's done.
Right.
And then Mike breathed a sigh of relief when the City Council passed it. And Council was very complimentary. They complimented Mike for making the process as smooth as it was this year, as easy as it was.
I saw some pictures that Steve had of Mike recently. I'm sure that not only the city, but obviously all residents wrapping around that very arduous process. I guess that's a year-long process.
It really does start in late November, December, and continues with a budget retreat in the spring, and then actual budget workshops. The city manager has to present a balanced budget to City Council. That occurs, and then Council pushes and pulls in places where it has some interest. And we've had a very easy year, all things considered.
Right. Any interesting points in there that folks may not have thought about back in November that shaped up?
Maybe so. There's no tax increase, and that's great. There are some minor fee increases. There's an extra $1 per month, I think, on solid waste collection, which still keeps our solid waste collection below what the market is.
Right.
We put money back in for an Independence Day celebration, so we'll have an Independence Day celebration. I think it's Sunday, July 1st at 5 o'clock. Starts at 5. Gates open at 5 o'clock over at Coastal Federal Field.
Great.
So it's picnic, bring the families, no glass containers, but everything else. Picnic on the outfield, it's free.
Right.
We'll have the Andrew Thielen Big Band.
Oh, they're fantastic.
They really are great. This will be a salute to our war veterans.
Right. So
and then
many
we'll have fireworks at the end of that, so that's
sure. Great. Sunday, July 1.
Right.
Okay.
Other budget items, we've got money in there for some more sidewalks, for example. Money for Crabtree Gym renovation.
Oh, yeah, sure, on the former Air Force Base, right.
It's about a $6.2 million project.
Is that right? Those are good numbers.
Fortunately, some of the developers who've come online at the former Air Force Base are helping pay for that project.
O'Neill and McCaffrey and some others. Good.
Since their new residents will take full advantage of that
Assumably.
recreation center. So those are some of the bigger points, I guess, in the budget.
You highlight some great things later in the week. We've got Harold Stowe with us on Thursday, the chairman. And in prepping for his interview this Thursday, I noticed he's been chairman and on that board and had formerly been on the Myrtle Beach Redevelopment Authority board prior to your arrival in town. I'm not asking you questions about it, but it's fascinating to see a lot that's happened on the former Myrtle Beach Air Force Base, and great, exciting centerpiece for the city.
The Redevelopment Authority, Buddy Stiers is the executive director, have done a tremendous job out there. If you haven't driven Faro Parkway lately, you need to go look at it with the trees and the lights and the medians and the park, the lake there that the city has built. That's a tremendous asset to the city. And then McCaffrey with Market Common is under construction right now on about 110 acres. Right there at the center of the former Air Force Base. And then Rob O'Neill with Withers Preserve will come online, and Lennar with Coventry.
So Lennar is the other big one.
Lennar is the other big project, and that's going to be called Coventry, I guess.
I didn't know that. Great. I've seen some of their signs. Withers Preserve, of course, is coming on fast, and the Herald obviously is located on the former Air Force Base and the Fox 43 studios. So to see what's happened since we moved in there back in '97 over the last decade has been very exciting. Speaking of that, how long have you been a public information officer?
Since September of '98.
Okay,
so
great.
Coming up on 9 years, I guess.
Yes, that's right. Fantastic. Are you originally from the area?
Grew up in North Carolina. Vacationed here in the Myrtle Beach area as a child. Have lived in South Carolina before, and I'm happy to be back in South Carolina and along the coast, too.
Right, yeah. And you did you attend school in the Carolinas?
I did. I went to Wake Forest University. You're familiar with that.
Yes. How about those Demon Deacs this
Absolutely.
year? Did you go to the Orange Bowl?
I did not go to the Orange Bowl. Did you get there?
I did not, but I had dinner with somebody recently who did and talked about it. I think he said there are currently 56,000 living alums for the Wake Forest University, and that they sold 18,000 tickets to alums for that game.
Great.
So the biggest showing of alums anywhere in the history of the university.
Great. Well, that was a good boost for Wake Forest this year.
Absolutely. A tremendous recognition. Of course, hopefully the coach will be around for many years to come. So it looks like he's in for the long haul. When we think about the city of Myrtle Beach, Mark, of course, a lot of folks, when they think about Myrtle, whether they're in California or in Tennessee or even in Charlotte, they may think about it as that sprawling area from the state line almost down to Georgetown. And, of course, you have to face that on a regular basis.
That's true. The visitors from Ohio or New York or Canada really don't care where the jurisdictional boundaries fall, but from a government standpoint, we need to know where our police cars stop their service, where our fire trucks stop their service. So the city limits are important to us. For the most part, they're on this side of the waterway. A little bit of Grand Dunes crosses the waterway. Actually, for the most part, they're on this side of the bypass.
Right.
For that matter. And South Carolina's annexation laws are so strict that it's difficult for cities to grow in South Carolina.
Is that right?
It really is true.
I don't think I knew that. The annexation laws are really that difficult.
Very much so. In North Carolina, for example, a developed area, a town can say, gee, this is urbanized, we're going to annex this area. It really is part of the city, even though it's not part of the city, but we'll annex it, we'll provide services over the next 2 years. Welcome to the city. In South Carolina, you have to be contiguous to the city, and you have to petition to be annexed. So
is that right?
It's in the property owner's hands in South
As opposed to the other way around?
Correct.
Correct. For our viewers in the PD in southeastern North Carolina who are coming down to Myrtle this summer, they're really going to enter Myrtle Beach if they're coming, let's say, from Calabash or down Highway 17 bypass. They enter Myrtle Beach around, is it around the Carolina Opry area?
Yeah, it is. Carolina Opry itself is not actually in the city.
Is that right? Okay.
But just on the southern end of Restaurant Row, that's where you'll begin to hit Myrtle Beach. And then it runs all the way down to the former Air Force Base. Okay,
so the former Air Force Base is right on the tip
it is.
Of the city of Myrtle Beach. Well, it is fantastic. And, of course, as you think about that, and when folks hear a $133 million operating budget, you know it would be difficult to do if it was starting on the county line and running down to Georgetown. But obviously, and the permanent population hovers around.
I think the latest estimate I saw was about 25,000 for the city of Myrtle Beach.
Right.
And, of course, during the summertime, on the big weekends, from May through September, the population goes up 10 times, maybe even 15 times on the 4th of July, for example. So
within the city of Myrtle Beach.
Within the city of Myrtle Beach.
So
we have to be able to handle those peaks during the summer months.
Tommy Chestnut was with us yesterday talking about the Citizens Police Academy and the new initiative to try to bring students in for the first time, which was very interesting. But, as you think about that, that dovetails well into parking issues, Mark. A lot that the city's been faced with recently, a lot in all the press about parking issues. What are some of the things that the city residents need to be thinking about?
Well, we have parking meters in the commercial district of the city, which would be 29th Avenue South to the southern city limits, pretty much east of Kings Highway. And then City Council just recently added parking meters in that little commercial district on the north end from 67th to 75th, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Right.
And they put parking meters just on the street ends there in that commercial district. Mm-hmm. We didn't invent parking meters. Parking meters exist in other parts of the country. So they're not unique to us, certainly, but they're fairly new for everyone here. This is our 5th year. City Council would like to be able to give local residents, actual city residents, some sort of break on that. So they've passed a decal program that we're still working out the details on that would allow someone who has paid vehicle taxes to the city of Myrtle Beach to get a decal for that vehicle that would allow them to park for free at any of the parking meters.
Oh, great.
Yes. So if you are a property tax-paying vehicle owner, you can get a decal that will allow you to park for free at any of the parking meters.
You say those details are being worked out. Are they soon to be? Is that something that, particularly with, as you say, this Friday's June 1?
Right. We hope to have that in effect by June 30th, in fact.
Spectacular.
And we're trying to figure out a way to do that. There are about 24,000 vehicles registered in the city of Myrtle Beach.
Right.
So we think we've figured out a way to mail out a notice with a postcard to everybody who has a vehicle that they've paid tax on.
Right.
If they want a decal, not everybody will want a decal. If they want a decal, they'll mail the postcard back to us, and then we'll mail them a decal that'll have a barcode on it. We'll have the license plate number for the vehicle that it belongs on, and the instructions about where to put it.
That's tremendous.
It is. It's a little complex. We don't want to create an under-the-table market for decals, so we want to make sure that they're fairly well controlled.
An under-the-table market,
yes.
Which, of course, could happen. My daughter and I go over to Friendly's a lot next to Family Kingdom. Of course, we park out oftentimes. It's the lot's too crowded, so we park out and drop quarters in right out there on whatever avenue that is, a little south of Family Kingdom. And it's a tremendous area and oftentimes very crowded.
It is. There's a cost, though, attached to parking, and we hear from people who live in the area but not in the city of Myrtle Beach, and they've enjoyed all the free parking for all these years.
Right.
But city residents are paying that cost for parking. We have to create the parking spaces, maintain them. Certainly there's a land cost that goes with that. And with the parking meters, we've managed to increase the number of public parking spaces downtown.
Is that right?
So city residents, city taxpayers have been bearing that cost burden.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Council would like to give them a little break.
Absolutely. If a viewer needs to get off to work now or get family off to school, Mark, what's the best number? Or is there a website that the city has for someone to visit to learn more about activities going on in the city?
Certainly the city's website hopefully will have a lot of information for you. www.cityofmyrtlebeach.com.
Okay.
So spell it all out, cityofmyrtlebeach.com. Or you can call my number, 918-1014, 843-918-1014.
Okay. What are some of the questions that are most frequently asked? I know I've been, of course, to the city of Myrtle Beach, and you've got a great page of frequently asked questions. What are some of those that stick out in your mind that you still hear a lot, Mark?
Weddings. We hear about weddings all the time. People want to know how to get married in Myrtle Beach or in Horry County, so that may be the most frequently asked question.
Right.
Everybody wants vacation information. That's easy.
From you, yeah.
That's easy enough to do. I can transfer them to the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Trouble. They want to know about golf carts. How do you drive golf carts on the streets?
Oh, yeah. What's your answer?
Which is a state law. The state law regulates golf carts. You actually have to have a permit for it from the DMV. It costs $5. You have to show proof of responsibility, which means insurance.
Right.
You can only drive it during daylight hours, only within 2 miles of your residence or business. has to be a licensed driver. So your 14-year-old child cannot drive a golf cart. And then you can cross primary streets, but you cannot drive on primary streets. Such as Kings Highway,
right,
for example.
So we've seen some of those four-wheeled vehicles that are for rent along Kings Highway up and down.
Well, and those that are
a
for
little
rent,
faster, right?
Yeah, those are not technically golf carts.
Right.
Those are licensable. A golf cart is not licensable.
Yeah, that is fascinating. You really know this stuff, Mark.
I have to answer
Sound
these
like an
questions a lot.
attorney. You better be careful. That's right. Have to answer these questions a lot. That's true. Those are not ones you sit off to the Chamber of Commerce.
No. And then you get a fun question now and again. Someone from Canada visited and said, "Gee, I just heard that there may be sharks in the water off Myrtle Beach." Well, gee, sharks live in the ocean.
That's
so
right.
That is where they live.
Yes. The beach is good. I'm sure that question does come up every once in a while, and probably a lot of folks are fearful of sharks. The beaches are so beautiful along the city of Myrtle Beach, and really picking up this summertime. As you can see already, the crowds filling out there. And this past weekend, a lot of folks on the beach, as well as the last couple of weeks. Are there, when you, of course, the city decals, are there particularly good places for folks if they're coming in from the PD or southeastern North Carolina to look for parking? Is it just all up and down the Strand?
It really is all up and down the Strand. Public access, and that's one of the questions that comes up from people who aren't familiar with South Carolina, where the beach essentially is public. They want to know where the public access is. Well, the public access is, every block or more than every block in most cases, so you can easily get onto our beaches here.
Okay.
And that's really not one of the issues that we have. If they're coming to stay in one of the hotels, it may be more convenient for them to go to the beach near their hotel.
Right.
If they're staying with family in the area, they may pick a place that's more convenient for them to go. But there aren't any restrictions as to where you can go to the beach.
Good. Yeah, I bet a lot of folks do wonder about that. Not to put you on the spot, but do you have any idea if the pavilion parking garage will be open this summer?
I do. Actually, I do know the answer to that question. It will be open this summer as usual.
Good. Great. Of course, not tapping that beautiful 11-acre tract there. And I saw many of the Sun Fun activities, and Holly will be talking with us tomorrow about that, but a lot happening at Plyler Park rather than down at the pavilion.
A lot of those Sun Fun activities did occur there on the pavilion on the east side of the boulevard.
Right.
And with that gone, we've had to look for other locations. So Plyler Park, which is at the foot of Mr. Joe White Avenue, will serve as a focal point for a lot of the bands and the concerts and the events. And then the Sand Castle attempt to set the world's tallest sand castle.
Sure, yes.
Will be at 6th Avenue North and the Boulevard. We have a couple of large lots there that we'll be able to use for that purpose.
That's not the former Myrtle Beach Pavilion area?
No, it's not. It's a block and a half south of that.
Is that right?
Yes.
Huh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I understand a lot's happening with underground utilities in the city of Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely. If
Right
you've driven Ocean Boulevard lately, it looks spectacular. We've made a tremendous amount of progress thanks to Sandy Cooper's cooperation over the last couple of years. In fact, we pioneered this program with Santee Cooper, and other cities in South Carolina have adopted it. We put money into the underground fund. Santee Cooper contributes money into the underground fund, and then we go through and place retrofit utilities underground. Ocean Boulevard, after this fall, will be nearly complete with the exception of that little piece between 9th Avenue North and about 5th Avenue North in that area, or 5th Avenue South.
So 9th Avenue North around Plyler Park down to
about 3rd Avenue
Family
South
Kingdom.
in that neighborhood.
Right.
It will be underground otherwise in the commercial district.
That is amazing.
It looks spectacular if you haven't seen it.
It makes a world of difference. Absolutely. I wish everyone was so blessed to be able to take advantage of that. I know a lot of the Myrtle Beach Air Base, the former Air Base, a lot's going underground now. Sandy Cooper's pounding down through Seagate Village in that area.
The city actually requires that new developments all be underground. That's part of the city code.
Good.
And Santee Cooper's on board with that. Certainly big transmission lines can't go underground, but they're comfortable putting everything else underground. So.
We've got about 5 minutes, Mark, and that gives me a chance to think about South Carolina's largest garage sale, which is...
and that may be one of the most frequently asked questions we get. Lots of people love the garage sale. They look forward to it every year. We do have a date this year.
Right, good.
And the Pavilion Parking Garage is still going to be there September 15th.
9/15, fantastic.
Yes, Saturday, September 15th from 7 a.m. to noon. We'll open up the vendor spaces later in the year. We're not going to do it right now, but we'll do that later in the year. But that's a great thing. We have about 400 vendors and then about 10,000 people. We have people,
Oh, come on.
Seriously, people who plan their vacations around the garage sale.
I've seen you quoted saying that, Mark. I don't know if I ever believed you, but now it sounds like you're saying on film. Yeah.
Show you the email.
That's incredible. South Carolina's largest garage sale, Saturday, September 15th from 7 to noon.
Right.
Any great items you've picked up in the past at the sale, or do you stand back and
I do go look around.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the age and place where I don't need a whole lot of stuff anymore. But I do go look and try to find something every year.
You do have a teenage son, though, Mark. I bet he would be happy if Dad was picking up some cool items.
He probably would be.
Garage sale. Speaking of that, he just wrapped up his freshman year.
He did at NC State University in Raleigh.
In Raleigh, absolutely. Did you get up much to? I'm sure that maybe the Wake Forest NC State game you made it.
Yes, I did. I made it up for that. So.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, a lot happening in the Triangle, and of course a lot of Triangle folks. Do you have any idea, or is that a chamber question of what area in the Carolinas feeds the most folks into the city of Myrtle Beach?
That really is a chamber question. I think South Carolina and then North Carolina would be the next largest destination, but I don't know the answer to that.
A lot of folks in the Triangle come down here and continue to come down here. There's a big firefighter cook-off coming up soon, I believe.
There is. That's going to be part of the Sun Fun thing. It's on Saturday, June 2nd.
Right.
And you've seen Iron Chef, undoubtedly. And the idea was that since our fire station people cook, they're there 24 hours a day, so they are fairly good behind a stove.
Right.
We're going to have a secret ingredient for them, and they'll be able to bring some of the staples, and then they'll cook up something that everybody can sample. How's that?
That is great. Okay, this Saturday, June 2.
June 2nd, yeah, this Saturday, June 2nd. They'll start cooking at 9, judging at 11, and then samples after that.
That is fantastic. We've just got a couple of minutes, Mark. Storm Buddies.
Storm Buddies. We're working for the third year now with neighborhoods, churches, senior citizens in the area to make sure that they take under their wing people who don't drive, people who live alone, people who could not evacuate on their own if we get an evacuation order. The idea would be to have the neighbors look after the people who cannot look after themselves. We're working through the churches and the neighborhood associations to make that happen.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. And of course, you talked briefly about Crabtree Gym and the renovations, the $6+ million. A lot. The other city gyms are, of course, there's the Pepper Gettings Recreation Center, Canal Street Recreation Center, and then the Base Recreation Center, which gets a surprising amount of use. Everything from table tennis to quilting to line dancing and even belly dancing at times. Is that right? Belly dancing.
Yes.
So there are 4 recreation centers. I mean, or 3.
5 if you count.
Let's see.
Pepper Gettings. Yes, correct. 4.
Right. So you've really got an opportunity to spread the city out very well. And for folks, particularly down there, the Base Rec Center is magnificent. It is a beautiful facility from the ground up, or refurbished very well, and right down the street from Crabtree Gym. And of course, a lot of swimming taking place this summer. A lot of youth opportunities.
We do actually have a fairly active swim team. I never was a very good swimmer. I'm on the beach every weekend, but I don't swim that much. But our swim team is very active, and the Pepper Gettings pool is a great place too.
Oh, it is. And it was recently refurbished.
It was, in terms of air conditioning and that sort of things, and the Pepper Gettings gym itself was expanded. So.
What do you think has been the most exciting aspect for you, Mark, over the last 9 years as public information officer for the city of Myrtle Beach?
It's just a dynamic community. We have so much going on from a construction standpoint, from a community appearance standpoint, the Ocean Boulevard, for example, the other streets that we've done, the parks that the city's managed to create. One of the challenges that everybody faces is the residents versus visitors. We have so much of what we have because we're a tourist destination. If we were a normal town of 25,000, we wouldn't have so many different things to choose from. But we do have that choice because of all the visitors who come to us. And yet, still, you have to strike that balance between residents and tourists.
And, of course, all the folks making the laws, the city council members, live in the city of Myrtle Beach, so they are faced with that dilemma every day as well.
Correct.
Those are great words. Mark, thanks so much
You're
for being
welcome,
with us
Greg.
this morning. And like your red, white, and blue, getting
Yes.
ready for July 4th.
Absolutely.
Very handsome. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with the Public Information Officer, Mark Kruea, coming up next. Think about that. Exactly 9 years ago, Mark's replying to an ad. An exciting ad. They're looking for a public information officer for the city of Myrtle Beach. You wonder what makes someone think about replying to an ad like that. He said it in the last 25 minutes. He's on the beach every weekend in the summer. He's probably on the beach a lot more. It's that last word in the city's name, beach. City of Myrtle Beach. Remember that, cityofmyrtlebeach.com, cityofmyrtlebeach.com. Go online. There's some tremendous information online. If you don't have a computer and don't want to go to Chapin Library, another library, to go online to visit the website, pick up the phone. Write this number down, 918-1014, 918-1014. How often do you get guests who actually give their direct line out? They give out some line you can never get to them. Pick up the phone. He's giving you that line. It's an exciting, easy number to remember, 918-1014. Also, you can send him an email at info@cityofmyrtlebeach.com to get his weekly Myrtle Beach events email. A tremendous email. This is like 13 pages in one email if you printed it out. There's a lot of great information. Go online to cityofmyrtlebeach.com.